Alright, what's good, guys? This time I'm going to try and kind of do like a build log on this PC build. This is another SKYLAKE rig. I'm not going to go through every piece one at a time like a lot of channels do when they put up these videos, because it's extremely fucking boring. So just quickly to run down, we have the ASRock Z170 Pro 4 motherboard, Cooler Master Hyper TX3 cooler. We have the Intel Core i5 6500, generic EVGA 500 watt bronze power supply, because Newegg fucked me, and we're still waiting on the power supply to get here, the real one that we ordered. So once the real power supply gets here, we're going to swap this power supply out with the one that's coming from Newegg, the NZXT Hail V2 550 watt 80 plus gold power supply. I just ran down to the store down the street from my house and grabbed this one so that I could get this build done today, because I'm sick of sharing my rig with my son. And then we have the same card I used in my rig, EVGA GeForce GTX 960 4GB super clocked edition with the ACX 2.0 cooling system. And then over here we have, let me see, this is the NZXT S340 case. That's what we're going to put it all in. So I'm going to go ahead and get the motherboard out and probably record me dropping in the processor and the RAM and all that. So stay tuned. Alright, so I think I got a pretty good angle on that CPU socket. Got the Core i5 6500 right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Use care not to touch the bottom or the top. Gonna release the tension arm, pull that back, and then I want to line up, this corner is the one with the triangle, so you want to line that up just like that. Just drop that into the socket, wiggle to make sure it's in there correctly, and pop that down, and there we go. And then this will go back into the motherboard case in case we ever have to send this back to ASRock. So let me just try to move this a little bit so that I can do the RAM at the same time. We're putting in 8GB Crucial Ballistic Sport DDR4 kit. So we'll go ahead and let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Come on. It's difficult to do this and pay attention to what the camera looks like at the same time. There we go. That's one DIMM. And then let's put the second DIMM into slot 3. It's kind of a surprisingly tight fit. There we go. And now the RAM is seated, and I'm going to go ahead and off camera get the cooler ready for mounting here on the CPU socket. Stay tuned. Alright, here we are. We got the Cooler Master TX3 ready to go. I think that's what it's called. Hyper TX3, sorry. I got the thermal paste, the thermal compound that comes with it here. I'm going to go ahead and apply a little pea-sized amount of thermal compound. Alright, now we're going to want to drop this down into the pinholes. Get it completely lined up. And then we just put one, the other, one, and the other. And then we'll go ahead and look at the opposite side of the motherboard and just make sure, let me pull away, just make sure that all 4 of those pins come through, and they are, so we are well mounted and in good shape. And then just going to get this cable pulled out of the way for now, and that's it. Alright, I'm going to prep the case, and then I'll be back. Drop the motherboard into the case and start building in the case. Stay tuned. Alright, so I'm not sure how well you guys can see this. I got the case on its side, got the I/O shield popped in, and then this ASRock board, these motherboard standoffs, like normal ATX would go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then at the top same thing, 1, 2, 3. I had to switch these up because I had to go 1, 2 on the bottom, 1, 2 in the middle, a single one right here, and then 2 at the top, 1, 2, and I had to take out the outside ones. It's just weird, just very weird. I think this motherboard is like, isn't as wide as a normal ATX motherboard. I don't know, but I've already checked it. They line up, so I am going to go ahead and drop the motherboard in and get it mounted. So I'll be back after that's done. Stay tuned. Alright, so the motherboard is inside the case. Everything's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing stand up, plug in all the front panel connectors, get the graphics card installed, and then start routing the power supply cables. So I got to find the connections for these fans to get these plugged in. We got one up top and one in the back. I'm assuming exhaust and intake, although it looks like they both might be set to exhaust, so I might move this fan to the front of the case behind this dust filter and just have that be an intake at the front and just have the airflow go straight across the CPU like that. So I'll be back, stay tuned. Alright, just wanted to give a quick update. Ran some, like the HD audios run, USB 3 for the front of the cases run. I pulled the 120 that was mounted up here, moved it to the front of the case as an intake because they had both of those fans as exhaust, and we're just going to use a 2-fan setup here, so did that, plugged that back fan in there on the motherboard to that case fan header there, plugged the other fan into one of the 2 that's down there. I think that's it. So I am gonna get the rest of the front panel LEDs set up, and then get the graphics card in, and I'll check in throughout that whole process. Stay tuned. Alright, What's up, guys? I'm back. As you can see, power supply is mounted, and this disgusting octopus tentacle mustard and ketchup nonsense is hanging out the back of the computer. Started cable management a little bit. Started to manage these header cables, fan cables coming out from there. Managed. Plugged in data for the one hard drive in this build. The front panel LEDs, they're all connected. You can see those down there. Those are all plugged in. HD audio is plugged in. So I'm just going to power what I can. Get the SATA powered up. The CPU, 24 pin. And then, yeah, then we'll install the graphics card. That'll be the last step, and then this thing will be ready to roll. So I'll be back after I get some of this cabling done. Stay tuned. Alright, it was a bitch and a half getting that CPU power connector plugged in with this in the way and my giant sausage fingers, but I managed to get it seated in there. 24 pin power connector is in place. Routed my PCI power connector here. God, are these freaking cables ugly. I can't wait to swap out the actual power supply that was supposed to be in this rig if Newegg didn't fuck me. But yeah, so that's about it. I'm getting ready to do the graphics card now. Install the graphics card, supply power to the graphics card, and then hook it up to that monitor over there and do first boot, which I'll bring you guys around along for the ride for that one when we do the first boot. So yeah, that's it. I'll be back when the graphics card is installed. Stay tuned. Alright, so I'm an idiot and I forgot to get some footage before I close this up. But you can see graphics card is installed. I gotta do something about that cable. That's kind of driving me nuts. I might plug in this second one here and then zip tie the first one down to the lead on this cable just to make it a little bit cleaner. I thought if I used the end one, and then I would be able to pull this one down and attach it maybe to one of these SSD mounts, because we're not using an SSD in this build, but no such luck. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this table off a little bit, get this rig set up on the monitor with the keyboard and shit that I have over there, and then we're going to do first boot. So stay tuned.